Next week it is Cheltenham 2025. My name is Tom Brownlee from bookiebashing.net. In these videos we discuss the edges, analytics, input data of profitable sports betting. So first things first, let's not beat around the bush. Cheltenham 2025 and the strategies we're going to use is going to be very different to 2015, but we know this. We know that in profitable sports betting, we can't expect to be doing the same thing over and over again and for it to last forever. In 2015, bookmakers used Cheltenham as a loss leader for customer acquisition. So Sky Bet, for example, would hope that you would see money back on the first race to £100 if you're second, third, fourth or fifth. You put your money in Sky Bet, you don't put it elsewhere, they'd maybe have you for the festival and the entire year. That was the thought process in 2015. Now it's nearly come full circle. The concessions are so terrible, they're laughable, and anyone that's really focused on those concessions, I think is you could get a little bit more of an ROI working as a burger flipper in McDonald's. That doesn't mean that there isn't plenty of money out there, and I want to discuss what it is I'm going to be looking at, particularly on the Tuesday as well, because Cheltenham Tuesday, the Supreme Novices Hurdle, the Arkle, the Ultimate Handicap Chase, I'm going to be there on the Tuesday because Cheltenham's only 20-25 miles past my kids' school, so why not? And I have been thinking really, how much am I going to take? What it is that I'm going to be betting on? And then it dawned on me I might as well share those thought processes on this video because there's no reason why Cheltenham shouldn't be a profitable event. Now let's just have a look at what I see as the two main avenues for looking at profitable bets at Cheltenham. The first for me will be enhanced specials and the bias that exists on the exchanges as a result of that. And the second will be singles or maybe multiples. We'll come to that on the horses in the individual races. Now, I'm very quickly just going to touch on the enhanced specials. I don't have much to say about them just now because they're not out yet for the most part. There is a few. If you go to BetDAC, you will see enhanced specials. And these enhanced specials are available at bookmakers, and arbitrage players, match bettors will back them at the bookmaker and come to the exchange and they will lay them on the exchange. And because sometimes in these markets there are more layers than there are backers, it tends to hold the price artificially high and we can find some value. Or if people simply don't know how to calculate something, which might not be so true at the Cheltenham Festival, but it could be the other way around. The lay could be value. So we have bets just now such as Willie Mullins to train 2 or more winners on Tuesday at the 2025 Cheltenham Festival. We just have to go through every race and work out which horses Willie Mullins trains and then go through that OR calculation. Actually, there's 2 OR calculations. One of them is mutually exclusive. One of them is non-mutually exclusive. I have talked about these types of calculations on previous videos. I won't go over them again. If you want to do it easily, there is a tool at Bookie Bashing available for members. Excuse the marketing pitch there. That's what I'm going to be using. You can just load it up. You can select Willie Mullins. You can find out what the odds are of him to train 2 or more, and you can see if that's a value bet. The other ones will be, if you like doubles, I really don't expect the doubles and the trebles, especially with 2 or 3, odds-on favourites on day one. All of these will be into doubles and trebles. Those markets will be efficient. It's not difficult for those seeding those markets to know what the fair price should be. They're just going to take the exchange lay price probably and multiply that by 2 or 3. So yeah, not so much going to be I don't even think I'm going to waste time calculating them, to be fair. The team will put them on the trackers, but they will be efficient. There'll be some lengths bets, so a particular odds on favourite to win by 1 or 2 or 3. In the past, we have looked at them. They can be quite time-consuming to look at, to tell you the truth. There's a lot of mathematics involved. I was never super happy with the model that we developed years ago. Whilst we ran it in the background, it just didn't stand up enough to backtesting, and so we never released it. It's not something that is available to members at Bookie Bashing. And because I'm going to Cheltenham on Tuesday, I don't think I'm going to be wasting too much time on a horse to win by length. So I'm not going to be looking at a horse to win by lengths, even though there could be value in that. I'm not going to be looking at doubles and trebles on the enhanced markets. I might look at a jockey or a trainer to have 2 or more winners or 1 or more winners, but I'll be doing that on the morning of the festival itself. And I have to bear in mind, if I'm doing that on the exchange, I carry the risk of the horse being a non-runner. You would hope maybe at the Cheltenham Festival that risk is a little bit more dampened than in other festivals. Okay, having said all of that, let's go to the other betting strategy, which will be singles or maybe multiples on horses that are determined by me or the horse racing tracker at Bookie Bashing, it's the same thing really, to be value at the bookmaker standard markets, whether they're offering extra places or not. So this tracker at Bookie Bashing, it has been, I don't know, it was voted the #1 horse racing service over the Smart Betting Club in the betting awards a couple of years ago. I think last year it was second to a free tipster. Make of that what you will. We calculate the probability of every horse in every race to finish first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, and then however many places the bookmaker is offering, we just add all of those up and we know what the fair odds should be. We know what the bookmaker's offering us, and through that comparison we can find those bookmaker prices that are higher than the fair odds, and those are long-term positive expectation bets. How good are they? Well, we've had over 200,000 horses on our horse racing tracker, and if you were to employ a unit win strategy, you would have seen a 5.41% return on your investment. Whilst we're here, if you would have employed a Kelly staking strategy, you would have got a 11.66% return on investment. Just note that for now, exactly the same horses, exactly the same 200,248 horses, but one of them were going to return £370,000 profit over 2020 to 2024. The other, under a 10k starting bankroll, will be nearer £500,000, £477,000 profit in that one. So we're going to discuss a little bit about that staking throughout this video. But before I do that, let's have a look at the historical performance of the Bookie Bashing tracker at major UK horse racing festivals. And the reason I'm looking at festivals as opposed to a random Tuesday afternoon at Catterick is festivals do tend to offer a little bit more liquidity, a little bit more value, a little bit more extra places. They may be determined to behave differently, but also I'm not popping down to Catterick on a Tuesday afternoon in the middle of term time, and I am popping down to Cheltenham. So I just wanted to have a look at every major UK horse racing festival since the beginning of 2021. And of those horse racing festivals, 28 were in profit, 12 were not in profit. Okay, so we've identified 10 really major horse racing festivals per year, 4 years, so we've got 40 horse racing festivals on here. If you were to stake to win £200 on each horse, you would have won £6,158, slightly higher ROI than the overall. Now, these horses that we're looking at, these are all taken at 6 different bookmakers: Bet365, Betfred, William Hill, Ladbrokes, Skybet and Paddy Power at 12 p.m. each day. So we look at every horse that is positive EV at 12 p.m. We download them. I haven't included duplicates here, so if a horse is plus EV at one bookmaker and another bookmaker, we only include him once. So if he wins, we don't get double counting. If he loses, we don't have double counting as well. So there's no duplicates in this. And for a long time, we have looked at just a simple unit win staking strategy because it's simple, it's easy to understand. But in this video now, I want to talk about Kelly staking. Kelly staking being where you bet higher, where the value is higher. If the EV is really big, 110, 120, 130, 140, we start to increase our stakes. When the EV is really small, 100, 100.5%, we stake really lowly, or in all honesty, not at all, because we're not staking to win enough money logistically. Okay. Now, if we had employed a Kelly staking strategy on those 3,784 horses, which is like 90 odd horses per festival, we would have made £13,862.45 under a 10k bankroll with a 1/4 Kelly strategy employed. Now, you can't really compare those two strategies because you are staking different amounts, but what we do know is that our return on investment is 18.1% in these festivals. If we're Kelly staking, it's only 5.82%. If we are unit win staking, these are all on singles. Unit win staking actually in 2022 returned a loss. The other 3 years were a win, but if we were Kelly staking, we would have had a healthy win in all of the years. Our average per festival of the 40 festivals would be £150 at 5.7% ROI. That's unit win staking. £346 for 18.1% ROI if we're Kelly staking. So, historically, it seems like we've made a little bit more money Kelly staking than we have unit win staking. And in this graph, I've taken the data that we've had on the horse racing tracker at 12 p.m. each day for those 6 bookmakers, no duplicates. And I've just seen how the performance was over the entirety of the Cheltenham Festival. And we see in 2021 here, we made £754. This is under a 10k bankroll, 1 quarter Kelly staking. In 2022, 1,083. In 2023, 398. In 2024, 1,242. This looks slightly different to previous graphs we've done. I'm now talking Kelly staking. Previously, I may have been talking about unit win staking. I just wanted to clear up anything that might look different there. One thing that definitely stands out with this graph is Cheltenham seems to take a little bit of time getting going, doesn't it? Let's have a look at profit or ROI per day. And Tuesdays, okay, sort of starting off apart from last year, a little bit of profit. Wednesday, come on. And then everything seems to happen on the Thursday or the Friday. Now, what do I make out of this? Do I say don't go to Cheltenham on the Wednesday? Do I say definitely be betting on the Thursday? I don't think, I mean, I know there's some big handicaps that happen on the Thursday, but I don't think anything can be taken out of 4 years worth of data. I think if there were 30 years worth of data, we would just be seeing random noise in here. And I think it is just random noise. It does look a little bit funny that in all 4 years, though, it's been a very, very slow start until halfway through the festival. And then it's ended really particularly well. Doesn't bode well for me visiting on the Tuesday, though, does it? So how much am I going to stake when I go there next week? Because I've been talking about this £10,000 bankroll, but I use that figure because it's easy to adjust it up and down depending on whatever your bankroll is. Have a look at this. I'm trying to determine downswings here. This is a graph that I've produced where I've started thinking about what a reasonable betting strategy could be for me. As discussed previously, the problem with Kelly staking is that we do have some plus EV horses at like 100.5%. Really, those horses are only staking like 5 or 10p. I'm not going to be interested in that. And also, at the other side of the scale, we might have some 200% EV horses that are staking ridiculously highly. And sometimes in some of these big handicaps, we could find 20, 25 positive expected value horses in the same race. I'm not going to go to Cheltenham and bet on 25 horses on the same race. That isn't going to happen. But I want to kind of figure out what I am going to do. So one thought of the logistics was that I could maybe take the top 5 plus EV horses in every race. Not every race will have 5 plus EV horses in it. In fact, there will be some races, there's generally around 2, 3, sometimes 4 races a year where there are 0 plus EV horses in the race. It all depends about the composition, the number of runners, things like that. But in this particular strategy, I've assumed that for everything that was plus EV in the past, I've only taken the top 5. If there are 5, if there were only 4, I'm taking 4. If there's only 3, I'm taking 3. I've used, again, my 10k bankroll, 1 quarter Kelly staking, and now I've plotted the profit and loss. And over those 16 days, 4 days a year for 4 years, I am £2,901.68 in profit, having gone over £3,000, but then just dipped over at the end of last year. More importantly for me, though, I wanted to know what my maximum downswing was with this staking strategy. And the maximum downswing, and that is defined by the difference between when I was at my peak to the lowest low relative to that peak. That seemed to happen on the Wednesday of 2024, and maybe race 2 if we look down here. And at that point, I was £773.85 under my peak. So that's the maximum downswing with this strategy, but that's going for 16 days. I'm not going for 16 days. I'm going for 1 day. And so I've changed the strategy slightly in this graph where at the end of every day, I've gone back to 0. And I wanted to know what my downswing was here. So I'm not carrying over any profits. I'm also not carrying over any downswings. And in this graph, I can see that the lowest I got to on any particular day was minus £331.92. That was as bad as things got on any one day. Minus 331.92. So how much am I staking to have been down £332 on one particular day? Well, I have taken the 451 horses that are in this strategy from those 16 days, and I've plotted them on two different axes here. On the left axis, this is the blue bar chart, I have plotted the liability that I'm betting to. So the minimum was £3. I mean, that would have been 100.01% EV. And the maximum was £2,446. Now, I'm not going to be betting to either £3 or to 2,446. This is a mathematical spreadsheet, a concept using Kelly staking, where I'm trying to understand what the mean is, what the average is, and what the percentiles is. So that's on the left-hand side, and on the right-hand side is the EV. So the EV starts at 100%. We're not betting on anything lower than 100%. It climbed up to 200% at the very extremes, right? I think the highest one was 197.87%. I wonder which horse that was. What's important to me, though, is that the average is the liability of £350 on the win. Okay, so we're putting £100 down at 7 to 2 there, because we're just talking about profit, liability of profit. The mean is £306. If I look at percentiles, the 10th percentile is £70. The 20th percentile is £130. The 50th percentile is £300. The 90th percentile is £700, 681 to be precise. So this is what I'm going to be thinking. I think I'm going to think in terms of the 25th percentile, the 50th percentile, and the 75th. I either like it, I like it a lot, or I like it a lot. And those are, and I've just worked it out now, £150 for the lower ebb, £300 for the middle ebb, £470 for the higher ebb. So if I want to kind of round those up, at the higher ebb, I'm going to be under this particular bankroll, I'm going to be betting to £500 liability on the win, £10 on a 50 to 1 shot, etc., etc. If it's a medium type bet, medium EV, it's going to be 300 quid. And if it is a low bet, because I'm betting on 5 horses in every race, it's going to be £150. So 150, 300, and 450 to 500 are going to be my 3 liability thresholds. And in terms of EV, that'll be about 106% or lower will be the lower ebb, about 112% the medium edge, and then, 120% or higher, 119% or higher maybe, will be those high £500 liability bets. It's an interesting graph, this, because the two graphs, the liability that we're betting to and the EV, actually track each other exactly. I can prove that just by shifting the right hand y-axis down so that £100 intersects with the x-axis, bang, and you see this. So given all of that, I now know that under a 10 grand bankroll, the maximum I would have lost in a particular day is about 350 quid, betting to an average of 350 quid, betting to a higher EV bet, £500, that's 5 plus EV horses per race where I can find them now. I think I might genuinely, I don't know, I haven't decided how much I'm taking down. Maybe I'll take down £1,000 or £2,000. Billy Big Balls here, look, I don't really subscribe to the professional punter flashing his money around. You don't know how much I've been left in my inheritance over time. But look, I have an investment banker friend. Genuinely, I live with him in university, knows nothing about horse racing, knows nothing about profitable betting. He's going to be going to Cheltenham. He's going to be betting more than me. It means nothing. But I think I'm going to take £1,000 or £2,000 down. And to me, that now means, because I'm willing to lose all of that, I can maybe now scale up these amounts. So I'm thinking about the fact that the maximum drawdown in a day was £350. Of course, there could be a day where I have more than that, but I'm going to settle on that. Let's multiply that by 4 or 5. And that means now that my percentiles are going to get multiplied by 4 or 5. And with £2,000 in my pocket at the beginning of the day that I will be willing to lose, I will not be upset if that £2,000 is gone. I'll be looking at betting on 5 plus EV horses per race, up to 5. I'm not forcing it. I'm not going to be betting on negative EV horses for the fun of it. To win £600 on the lower edge, £1,250 on the medium edge, £1,900, £2,000 on the top edge. That's where I'm going to be. I should be able to find on-course bookmakers that will lay me those bets. And how much will I make with that strategy, with that adjusted strategy, where I'm sort of happy to lose £1,500, £2,000 in cash? Here we go. This is the historical results. This is taking the top 5 EV bets each day at 12 p.m. In total, I would have made £8,404 over the 16 days, so I'm averaging £525 profit per day. That's going to be enough for a couple of pints from the Guinness bar and a sausage roll, perhaps. 5 losing days, the worst being minus £1,360. 11 winning days, 3 of them over £2,000, and Thursday last year would have been £3,417 profit. Let's hope for a turnaround in the Tuesday profit loss column this year, but that's the strategy I personally am going to be going for. Which then brings us to why am I not betting on multiples? As we may have heard, betting on singles, 5% return on investment, betting on multiples, 20% return on investment. And well, the answer is I'm not going to be forcing multiples from different races when there's only 7 races in the particular day at the festival. Look, multiples make sense when there are 40, 50, 60 races a day and we can spread them around and we can find value here and here and mix them together and compound the value. Sometimes even with 60 races in a day, it's difficult to find enough different races to put horses into a lucky 15 or a lucky 31. On a normal Saturday it can be done. On a quieter Saturday or midweek, sometimes it's a little bit drier, sometimes it's hard work. I'm not going to be putting myself under that pressure. Also, they're very high risk, high reward. They're volatile, right? This is one day at Cheltenham. For me, I'm not betting online. I'm not going to see these individual bookmakers. Again, I don't really need to worry too much about restrictions, which is what you will have on online accounts if you bet with singles. It's another reason why betting online using multiples is more popular. I am going to flatten the variance, not worry about the restrictions, and just bet on singles in every single race. How am I going to bet on those singles? Well, one of the problems with the bookie bashing horse racing tracker is we only really track online bookmakers and UK shop bookmakers. So what about Mr. A Random, the on-course bookmaker at Cheltenham? Well, we're going to be road testing a new tool where it's a standalone, if you like, horse racing tracker where I'll be able to bring the race up, say whatever terms our on-course bookmaker is offering, and then some standard prices will be loaded in and I can edit those prices and I can see what value there will be on course. I'm going to be beta testing this. Unfortunately, it won't be ready. It won't be available for members or for anyone to use before Cheltenham Festival. I'll be using Cheltenham next Tuesday as kind of a testing ground to see how that works, but lots of promise for that in the future. One more tool that is new that I do want to highlight is a new horse racing results tool at Bookie Bashing. So go and check this out. Now, I'm recording this on Wednesday. We're sending this out on Thursday. I'm hoping it's going to be released on Thursday. Bear with me if it's Friday or Saturday. It'll be released very soon. It's working in the background. We just need to plug it in. So here it is. It's a new results page, an interactive dashboard for the horse racing tracker. So if I look here for all horses from last year until the 1st of March 2025, I can filter by all results, but some of these horses will be duplicated across the 6 bookmakers. That's Bet365, Betfred, William Hill, Ladbrokes, Sky Bet and Paddy Power. So I'm going to have no duplicates. I can look at book odds and Betfair SP. I can hide win obs. If I want to see win obs, I can show win obs as well. Min EV, max EV, all data metrics. Let's have a look at default to start off with, and let's have a look at a unit win to £200 as the staking methodology. If I wanted to, I could filter by race course, but I'm just going to include all of them. Press filter results there. Give it a couple of seconds to have a think, and I see that we had 23,251 plus EV horses in that time. It was a 4.3% ROI, return on investment. So if I was staking to win £200 on all of those horses, I would have made £40,230. A few other things like amount staked. The maximum drawdown would have been £4,580. So I would have needed really a £5,000 bankroll not to go bust there. I can download those results into a comma separated value file. So that's my spreadsheet if I want to analyze that in Excel myself. And I've had a look at unit win. Why don't we have a look at Kelly? So we had a 4.3% ROI there. I can put a 25% fraction of a £10,000 bankroll. Press filter results. And now I've doubled my ROI. I've got an 8.37% return on investment there. £37,643 profit loss. With obviously a different amount staked, which will be the case in Kelly. And I can have a look at these drawdowns again, the £5,000 bankroll. And I can now start moving around with what would happen if I only chose a minimum of 105% EV. So I halve my number of bets, but now my ROI changes to 12.59%. If it was a unit win for my 200, it would change to 9.19%. Quite a significant difference in return on investment. And then I can play around with max EV and, play around with the odds, play around with the date ranges. How has it been going this year? I know it hasn't been going great this year. If I put in all bets, unit win £200 since the start of the year, only a 1.19% ROI. Pretty bad. We can see through the graph through this latter half of January. Look, this data is only the data that was plus EV at 12 p.m. If horses were plus EV at 1 or 2 p.m, they're not in here. The next version, you'll be able to save your own bets to this, so you can have a look at it, and we should hopefully be bringing in more times of the day, but this is version 1, and you can download your results. We used to, this is the old page, wait 2 to 3 to 4 months for me to do it manually, and then you could download some spreadsheets and stuff like this. Now you can do it all yourself, and we'll try and get it updated. Maybe yesterday is a bit early, but 2 days ago, 3 days ago, results should be available from round about then that you can download yourself. So this new interactive results tool, the BB Pro Horse Racing results, at bookiebashing.net to play around with. So best of luck betting on the Cheltenham Festival next week, whether you're going to be looking at biased exchange markets or you're going to be looking at standard markets at the bookmaker, betting each way on a unit win or a Kelly staking strategy, or even, God love you, a unit loss staking strategy. Remember, it is only 4 days. It's only 28 races. Even the best out there can have an unprofitable, a losing 28 races. It all really comes down to how many of those favourites win. The recreationals, they love the favourites. If it's the middle of the field, the outside of the field, that's where we tend to find the value. That's what the bookmakers like. It's what we like as well. I'll be there on the Tuesday. If you happen to see me, please come up and say hello. If you utter the magic phrase, which is going to be 1 quarter Kelly staking strategy, then I might just buy you a beer. If I happen to be close to a bar, it's not too inconvenient. Terms and conditions apply. Please drink irresponsibly. Good luck with Cheltenham 2025 next week.